seems like, for a long time. Chip Towers, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, joins us on 365 Sports. Georgia ranked number 1 in the country, looking for the unthinkable. The three-peat in major college athletics or major college football has not happened. Chip, your thoughts? This was as much of a no-brainer as some of those years Alabama was ranked number 1. And is it hard for you? You've been covering this game a long, long time. Nobody, and there have been some dominant dynasties, has ever been able to rip off 3 in a row national titles.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I'm actually have been working on for the last week or so, kind of a little bit of a historical deep dive into that whole Minnesota phenomenon, 1940, 34, 35, 36. To now, and there's been many teams, Alabama being one of them, that have had the opportunity to win 3 in a row, but nobody's been able to do it in the poll era, such as it is since 1936, since the AP has kind of been the dominant poll, and it's really interesting when you dive into that, And Georgia itself, had a dominant patch back in the 1980s. You talk to those players that played for Georgia from 1980 to 83, and I've spoken to a lot of them, they swear they should have won 3 in a row. They won 3 SEC championships in a row with Herschel Walker and, lost 1 game each of those years, a heartbreaker in a bowl game and another one in the regular season. To a Clemson team that went on to win the national championship, or they might have achieved that feat. So it's crazy that they're in this position. It's even crazier, really, that the schedule is what it is. I mean, I think it makes it as achievable as any of those other teams have had a chance to. I believe there's 7 over the course of that time that had the opportunity to win 3 in a row. I don't have my work in front of me. Sorry. So if that's wrong, I apologize. But it's something like that. And certainly Georgia has as good a shot as any of them of pulling it off.
Chip, when you look at what could occur down the line, obviously we got, a long way to go. Haven't even kicked off yet. But do you think it's more, is there an obstacle that's more inward or outward, like an opponent or another program that you think most stands in Georgia's way of pulling off this never-before-done three-peat?
Well, all of those, really. I mean, certainly with Kirby Smart, he knows how to manage this situation, thanks to his time with Nick Saban and really his time here. He's Mr. Adage, Mr. Catchphrase. And this year's is better, never rest, an homage to the All Blacks, the most successful, rugby, the most successful professional franchise there is. They're borrowing a lot of stuff from them this year. He is hard and tough about, talks about complacency is the greatest enemy of all. And that comes straight from Nick Saban, and they've managed that over there. But, the reality of competing in the SEC year in and year out, is the real challenge. And, Georgia has the resident pitfalls on its schedule. And I think maybe an underplayed aspect of this team is they're actually pretty young. I mean, you don't send 25 players to the NFL draft the last 2 seasons without getting pretty young, because a lot of those guys were underclassmen as it was. If you look at this team right now, a lot of the guys that we have circled as stars are sophomores, true sophomores. A couple of redshirt sophomores. There's a few seniors. Cedric Van-Pran, the center and All-American candidate, that was a big deal getting him back. And the 2 interior down defensive linemen, I think, were a really big deal for Georgia as well. When you think about their defense, which has 8 starters back, holding up again. But it's a pretty young team. And so once you get into it, you never know. They're going to be double-digit favorites in at least 11 of the 12 games. I doubt if they'll be a double-digit favorite on the road at Tennessee, but that game's very late in the season, so you never know where either team will be at that point. But the schedule for a young team just sets up perfect because, you don't get into conference play till South Carolina comes to town September 16th, and 3 of your first 4 are non-conference nobodies. So they have a chance to sort of, have a preseason to get the kinks out, and when they get into the middle season, when the challenges will come.
You mentioned Young. Their quarterback Stetson Bennett is out. He played, in fact, he's gone. He's played in a preseason game over the weekend. Is that where it starts? I'm sure they have, of course, their cupboard is filled with talent at every position, but is that the one that might be or is there another position, Chip, that is a concern for them?
Well, yeah, I actually think they're in tandem here, but obviously quarterback. Anytime it's a crapshoot. Anytime you change quarterbacks, I mean, no matter what anybody says about Carson Beck, redshirt junior, who I fully expect to at least start the first game. We'll see what happens after that. But Georgia has a strong quarterback room, and probably more importantly, they have strong players all around them. But they are they are having to break in new starters at both tackle positions. Now, Georgia's been kind of freaky with their offensive line recruiting. I mean, it's impressive. There are a lot of former 5-stars. All those guys are gargantuan, 6'7", 350-pound sophomore Marius Mims is going to start at right tackle. And, there's not many teams in the country that have anybody like him. Ernest Green, who probably started at left tackle, a redshirt freshman, but a 5-star whose dad played for a long time in the NFL, and he was redshirted recovering from knee surgery coming out of high school. He's, and the guys they're competing with, have the same type of pedigree. That's what's impressive about them. But they're different. The running backs are beat up right now. I love their wide receiving core, and you're changing offensive coordinators too to Mike Bobo. So that whole offensive side of the ball, I would call it maybe not a question mark, but they have some proving to do. What are they going to be, and how are they going to do it? Now, defensively, I think they're solid as a rock again. I mean, you got 8 starters back, really strong up the middle, which I think is really important in football, just like it is every sport. Right up the middle of the field, they're really strong. And they've done some tweaking in the secondary. They got solid all-stars in the inside linebacker positions. And, they got a bunch they don't have a Jalen Carter, but not many people do, but they've got some seniors and redshirt juniors. In fact, they got a 6-year guy, defensive end, in Tramel Walthour. So, they're built to stop the run again and to make some big plays on defense, and that always helps.
Chip, thank you very much. Can't wait the games to be played, and we're right around the corner, just a couple of weeks for the first weekend, and then, of course, early in September. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Chip Towers with us from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Thought the